Welcome to Top Stories Hub. Today we've got a new story. Get ready, something incredible is coming. I've always figured family's the top dog, no matter what chaos life chucks your way. You keep an eye on your people, jumping in to help when they're in a jam, 'cause that's just what solid folks do. That's what popped into my mind when my kid brother, Ethan, rang me up one night, sounding like he'd been run over by life itself. "Jack, dude, I'm totally screwed, I don't even know where to turn," he fumbled out over the phone, his words dripping with fatigue and gloom. They canned the whole outfit, no heads up, nada, just a lousy email saying we're toast. Ethan was always the guy with big plans, charging ahead, gambling big, never dreaming he'd eat dirt. He'd strut around, crowing about his killer gig, zooming up the career ladder like a rocket, only to get tossed aside like some beat-up old chair. But the punches didn't stop there. 2 weeks after his job vanished, he got slammed with some wild sickness, West Nile virus, can you believe it? That bug hit him like a truck, the hospital tabs wiped out the measly savings he'd scraped together. When they finally cut him loose from the docks, he was dead broke, not a penny left to his name. I could sense the panic he wasn't voicing over the line. He wasn't just griping, he was sinking fast and begging for a rope. "Come on, Ethan, just lay it out," I said, slouching back on the couch, pretty sure I knew what was coming down the pike. The phone went dead quiet for a sec, then he let out a worn-out huff. "I need a spot to crash, just for a little bit," he said, his voice breaking like a guy who'd lost his swagger. For the first time ever, my brash little bro sounded like he'd been knocked flat and couldn't find his footing. I didn't even think twice. "You're bunking with me," I told him. "I've got an extra room, it's yours till you're back on track." Ethan's relief hit me like a ton of bricks. "Man, thanks, I'd be up a creek without you." It wasn't a tough call for me at all. He's my brother, stuck with no one else close by, and our folks are way too far off to lend a quick hand. Plus, I've got my ducks in a row money-wise, I've carved out a decent career, played the investment game smart and own my place free and clear. My wife, Emily, was cool with it, at least at the start. "He's your brother," she said, resting her hand on mine as we chilled at the dinner table that night. "And if the tables were turned, you'd figure he'd have your back too. That's one big reason I'm nuts about her big heart, her way of getting it. She values family just like I do." So Ethan moved in. Those first couple weeks were smooth sailing. He was wiped out from being sick, mostly crashing in bed or zoning out to the TV. I pitched in where I could, grabbing groceries, footing his doctor bills, even tossing out ideas for jobs once he got his strength back. He wasn't the Ethan I was used to. That loud, cocky, motor-mouth guy had morphed into someone low-key, almost thoughtful. The mess he was in seemed to knock him down a peg, or so I figured at the time. Bit by bit, he started bouncing back. His spark came creeping in again, that old smooth-talking vibe resurfacing. He'd always had a knack for charming his way through anything, putting folks at ease like it was second nature. Looking back, though, I've gotta wonder, was it really charm or something sneakier altogether? Emily and Ethan hit it off great, maybe a little too great. They'd chat over coffee in the mornings while I was at the grind, or catch movies together at night when I was holed up in my office. Back then, I didn't bat an eye. He's just thankful, I told myself. He's clicking with Emily, 'cause he feels at home here. I didn't have a single reason to question them, no hint of anything shady. Man, I should have seen it coming. I should have clocked the little stuff, how she'd crack up a bit too hard at his dumb one-liners, how their talks would cut off sharp when I strolled in, the way Ethan's eyes lingered on her. But I was blind to it all, 'cause I trusted them, both of them. I'd handed my brother a safe spot to get his life together, and my wife, the woman I'd loved and built everything with for 8 years, had rolled out the welcome mat. What I didn't catch was that I'd let a snake slither right into my home, practically gift-wrapped him the chance to stab me in the back. I can still pinpoint the second my whole world blew apart. It kicked off like any other night. I just rolled in from work, my head spinning with some deal I was wrapping up, when Emily walked up to me. Jack, she said, her tone way too heavy for comfort, Ethan's got something to say to us. I shot her a look, picking up on this weird vibe in how she held herself. What's up? She stalled for a beat. He says it's a big deal. Part of me figured he was about to say he was moving out, maybe he'd scored a gig, maybe he was finally pulling himself together. That's what I was banking on as I stepped into the living room, where Ethan was parked, looking twitchy as hell. Ethan, my brother, the guy I'd taken in when he had nowhere else to turn. Okay, I said, dropping onto the couch. What's going down? He sucked in a quick breath, hands locked tight, staring at the carpet like a kid about to own up to smashing something. Then he dropped the bomb, Emily's pregnant. For a split second, I didn't even flinch. The words didn't click as my problem. My wife's pregnant. We weren't trying or anything, but it wasn't out of the question. It took a hot minute to register that Ethan was the one talking. Then I swung my eyes to Emily. She wasn't beaming, wasn't even cracking a smile, just staring at me like she was waiting for the gavel to drop. That's when everything started spinning off kilter. What? My voice scraped out rough. Ethan finally looked up. She's pregnant, he said again, dragging it out like I was slow on the uptake. And it's mine. The room went dead quiet, save for the faint buzz of the fridge humming away. I blinked hard. Nah, this had to be some sick prank. I whipped my head back to Emily, waiting for her to shake it off, bust out laughing, tell me Ethan was just screwing with me. She didn't. Instead, she barely breathed out, I'm so sorry. Something inside me cracked wide open. You're pulling my leg, I said, my voice creepily steady. This is some twisted gag, right? Ethan coughed lightly. No, Jack, it's legit. I locked eyes on him, the way his leg jittered like crazy, the way he wouldn't even meet my stare. Then it slammed me, he wasn't sorry. He wasn't ashamed. He wasn't even faking a shred of regret. I turned back to Emily, real slow. How long's this been going on? Her mouth opened a bit, and I could see the fear flickering in her eyes, guilt mixed with spinelessness. I already knew the punchline. 8 weeks, she muttered under her breath. 8 weeks. 2 whole months. This wasn't a one-off slip-up or some boozy bad call. This had been simmering right under my nose, in my own damn house. And the kicker? They'd already mapped out their next move. We reckon, Ethan paused, rubbing his neck like he was nervous, it'd be better if you cleared out. It took a solid 5 seconds for my brain to catch up to what I'd just heard. I'm supposed to leave. Me? I let out a short, dry chuckle. You're messing with me. Ethan shook his head. Look, man, I get it's rough, but Emily and I bolted up from the couch so fast the coffee table shook. You and Emily, what? My voice cut sharper now, louder, loaded with an edge that could slice. Emily reached for my arm, I jerked back like she'd burned me. Ethan sighed, acting like this was just a minor hassle for him. We're looking to kick off a family, he said, picking his words like he didn't want to light my fuse. And it'd be kinda awkward with you still hanging around. Awkward. Awkward, my fists balled up, my jaw locking tight as I chewed on the nerve of it all. You want me gone, I said slow and deliberate, so you two can play happy family with my wife. Neither of them said a word. I let out another empty laugh, didn't even sound like me anymore. Then I threw out the question that flipped the whole script, who's got the deed to this place? I watched Ethan's face scrunch up, like I'd thrown him a curveball he didn't see coming. His eyes darted to Emily, waiting for her to bail him out. That's when it hit me like a freight train, they hadn't even thought about it. They were clueless. Ethan coughed awkwardly. You and Emily share this place, right? I almost felt a twinge of pity for the guy. I let the quiet stretch out for a second before dropping the hammer. Nope. This house. It's all mine. His brows scrunched up tight. Huh? I swung my gaze to Emily. Go ahead, break it to him. She gulped, her face going ghostly white. Jack's the only name on the deed, she confessed, her voice so soft it barely carried. Everything's his. Ethan's whole face fell apart right then and there. I could practically see his little fantasy world crumbling to dust. You, his voice shook. You don't own squat. Emily looked like she wanted the floor to swallow her whole. Ethan's expression twisted hard. Are you freaking kidding me? Just like that, his good brother routine evaporated. No guilt, no sorry, not a trace left. He wheeled on Emily, his glare turning stormy. You swore you two had this all locked down together. Her mouth popped open, but nothing came out. You made it sound like you were calling the shots money-wise, he pushed, leaning in. Said I wouldn't have to sweat a thing. My gut twisted up. So that's what this was really about. Ethan wasn't head over heels or caught up in some wild romance. He thought he was snagging a cushy setup, a golden ticket. And now he was clocking that he trashed our brotherhood for a big fat zero. I stepped up, my tone icy and final. Wanna play pretend family? Cool. Do it somewhere else. I jerked my thumb at the door. Hit the road. Ethan froze up. Hold on, nah, I cut him off, shaking my head. You made your bed. You and my wife teamed up to shove me out of my own place. Now I'm handing you your wish. Scram. Emily grabbed my arm, her voice dripping with panic. Jack, please, I pulled away sharp. Don't even touch me. She flinched like I'd slapped her. Ethan started stalking back and forth like a caged tiger. You're blowing this way out of proportion. I let out a slow breath. No, Ethan, you just didn't count on me pushing back. He opened his mouth again, but I was over it. I spun around, marched to the front door, and flung it wide with a mean kind of glee. Out. Both of you. Right now. Ethan kept pacing, shaking his head like some magic fix was gonna pop into his brain and undo this disaster. Emily just stood there, stuck in place, hands wringing together like she was begging the universe for a bailout. I wasn't in the mood to play savior. I said get out, I snapped again, my voice flat but leaving no room for argument. Ethan finally stopped dead, locking eyes with me. Jack, come on, man, let's keep this chill. I nearly cracked up. Chill. I'd opened my home to him when he was scraping bottom. I'd covered his hospital tabs, kept him fed, gave him a roof, trusted him, and this was my payback. Now he's preaching chill. I cocked my head, sizing him up like he was a stranger. What, you thought I'd never catch on? He stalled. I didn't let him finish. You really figured you could swipe my life, my wife, my house, and I'd just shrug and take it? He didn't say a word. That silence said it all. I turned to Emily. She hadn't made a peep, just staring at me, eyes glossy with tears she hadn't let loose, her lip quivering. I didn't give a damn anymore. I'd poured everything into her, built us a life, put my faith in her, thought we were solid. And the whole time, she was sneaking around with my own brother like some 2-bit TV drama queen. This wasn't a slip, it wasn't a weak moment. It was a cold-blooded plan. And she had the gall to ask me to leave. I sucked in a deep breath, steadying my nerves, then jabbed a finger at the door. Out. Emily flinched again but finally piped up. Jack, please, can we just talk? I squinted at her. Talk. Oh, now you're up for a chat. She edged closer, hands reaching out like she could patch this up with a smooth line. I never wanted to crush you, she murmured. That was the straw that broke me, the classic cheater's cop-out. I let out a quick, biting laugh. You didn't want to crush me? I threw it back at her. You hooked up with my brother in my own house, and now you're standing there, knocked up with his kid, telling me you didn't mean to hurt me? Tears streaked down her face, but I wasn't buying it. I'd been the patient guy for years, cutting slack, letting stuff slide. Not this time. I want you outta here, I said, crisp and unforgiving. I don't care where you land, but it ain't gonna be here. She gasped like I'd decked her. Ethan clenched his jaw. You can't pull this, man. I arched an eyebrow. Can't I? He flailed his arms like a madman. She's pregnant, dude. You're seriously gonna dump a pregnant chick on the curb? I smirked. Funny how that didn't bug you when you were scheming to boot me out. Ethan's fists tightened, his whole frame buzzing with aggravation. He wasn't used to coming up short. Too bad. You're screwing up big time, he grumbled. I blew out a breath through my nose, half laughing at his nerve. Let's run this back, I said, crossing my arms. You bang my wife, knock her up, try to hijack my house, and now you're saying I'm the one screwing up. Ethan raked a shaky hand through his hair, his face red with frustration. For a guy who always acted like the slickest cat in the room, he'd sure botched this one bad. I swung back to Emily, dropping my voice low. Did you honestly think this place was yours? She swallowed hard, eyes darting away. Tell me, I pressed. Her shoulders slumped, like a kid busted for fibbing. I just figured, I laughed again, short and sharp. Figured? I waved a hand around. This is my house, Emily. I shelled out for it. Every stick of furniture in here, I bought it. You've got zilch. Ethan's head snapped toward her, his face screwing up in disbelief. You told me, I didn't lie. She blurted, cutting in. I just didn't set you straight. Ethan staggered back like she'd socked him. For the first time, I saw real fire in his eyes. So you let me think you had this all locked down. His voice dropped, dark and edgy. You had me believing we'd be golden once we ditched Jack. I watched, kinda smug, as their little alliance started splitting apart. They were already at each other's throats. Ethan let out a sour, empty chuckle, dragging his hands down his face. Unreal. I smirked wider. Thought you were leveling up, huh? Figured you'd swipe my life, kick back with the house and the cash. I shook my head. You bet on the wrong pony, little bro. His face turned thunderous. Screw you, Jack. Oh, you already took care of that, didn't you? I fired back. Only now you're seeing you didn't even come out on top. He spun back to Emily, his tone icy. You knew. She sniffled. I didn't know how to break it to you. Ethan snorted. Couldn't tell me, or just wanted me to stick around. Dead air. That was all he needed to hear. He scrubbed a hand over his face, muttering, unreal. I gave a single sharp clap, yanking them both out of their pathetic little sulkfest. Okay, this has been a blast, I said, my tone dry as dirt, but I wasn't kidding around. Get lost. Emily's lips started trembling. Jack, please, nope, I cut her off, my voice hard and done. Her face folded in on itself. I've got nowhere to crash. I shrugged it off. That's your mess, not mine. Ethan's jaw locked tight. Give her a damn minute to sort herself out at least. I tilted my head. Oh, you mean like the heads up you gave me when you cooked up your plan to shove me out of my own place? His trap slammed shut. I let the quiet drag on, heavy like a chokehold wrapping around them. Then I snatched Ethan's suitcase, hauled it to the front door, and chucked it out onto the stoop. Beat it. Ethan's hands curled into fists at his sides, but he knew he was cooked. Emily hung there a second longer, staring at me like I might cave and toss her a lifeline. Not a chance. She finally scooped up her stuff and shuffled out. I slammed the door so hard the frame rattled, flipped the lock, and bam, I was in the clear. The second that door banged shut, the silence hit me like a brick wall. For the first time in forever, it was just me, no sneaky whispers behind my back, no shady side eyes, no thick vibe clogging up the air. Just me, standing in my house, surrounded by the wreckage of a life I'd thought was rock solid. I should have been relieved, but all I could feel was this boiling anger bubbling up inside. I let out a quick, harsh breath, wrestling to keep my cool. I couldn't let this crap eat me alive, not now, not after all that. I stomped into the spare room, the one I'd handed over to Ethan when he was down and out. It reeked of him, that dumb cologne he always splashed on, the stuff he'd crow about, claiming it had chicks flocking to him like moths to a flame. The same stink I'd caught on Emily's clothes when I'd pull her close at night. This nasty mix of revulsion and rage clawed up my throat, but I choked it back down. No way was I letting their garbage fester in my space. I yanked his leftover junk from the closet, his kicks, that ridiculous gym bag, all of it, and hurled it right out onto the front yard. Ethan and Emily were still out there, bickering under their breath. Ethan spun around when he saw me tossing his stuff. "You for real right now?" I didn't bother with a reply, just marched back in, grabbed more of their junk, and flung it outside. Emily stepped up, eyes brimming with tears. "Jack, please, can we just hash this out?" I threw up a hand, shutting her down. "We're way past chit-chat." Ethan raked a hand through his hair, looking like he was at the end of his rope. "Listen, dude, I know you're ticked, but," I let out a sharp bark of a laugh. "Ticked? Ticked doesn't even scratch the surface, Ethan." He tried to jump in, but I wasn't finished. "You had the balls to sit in my house, my damn house, and tell me I should hit the road, that I should just step off so you and my wife could play happy couple." I shook my head. "And now you wanna act like this is some small potatoes we can smooth over?" Ethan ground his teeth. "I screwed up, okay?" I let out another dry chuckle. "Screwed up? Missing a car payment's a screw-up. Blowing off a work call's a screw-up. This was you picking your lane." Emily flinched, turning her eyes away. "Good." Ethan folded his arms. "You're making this bigger than it needs to be." I stepped in close, my voice dropping low and cutting deep. "You banged my wife in my own home. You knocked her up, then tried to swipe my whole damn life out from under me." I cocked my head. "So tell me, Ethan, which part am I blowing out of whack?" His jaw tightened, but he didn't have a comeback, 'cause there wasn't one. I glanced at Emily. "And you, what's your angle now? Thought Ethan was your ticket to the good life, huh?" I waved a hand between them. "Well, congrats, you landed yourself a sneaky, backstabbing loser." Her face broke, and for a flash, I caught a flicker of regret in her eyes. Too bad regret wasn't gonna patch this up. Nothing could. "Jack," she whispered, her voice shaky, "I know I messed you up bad. I get that I don't deserve a shred of mercy, but," I threw up a hand again. "Save it." She blinked, thrown off. I jabbed a finger toward the driveway. "Get moving. Now." Ethan rolled his eyes, mumbling something low, but I was done messing around. "You've got 2 minutes to clear off my property, or I'm ringing the cops," I said, cool and flat. That lit a fire under him. Emily let out a little gasp. "You wouldn't." I whipped out my phone and started punching in the numbers. Ethan cursed under his breath, snatching his suitcase with a rough yank. "Fine, whatever, we're outta here." He spun around and stormed off, dragging his bags behind him like a sulky kid. Emily hung back a beat, eyes wet, lips wobbling. I could tell she wanted to spill, say sorry, explain herself, make me get it, but I didn't want to get it. I wanted her gone. So I just stared, stone cold and blank, till she finally turned and trudged off. And just like that, they were history. Aftermath. The instant their car peeled out down the street, I stepped back inside and locked up tight. Then I stood there, staring into space, letting the full weight of it crash down on me. This wasn't just a breakup or some dumb spat. This was my whole damn life coming apart at the seams, right in front of my eyes. For 8 years, I'd bought into a marriage that was a sham. For 8 years, I'd poured my heart into a woman who didn't think twice about screwing me over. And my own brother, the guy I'd propped up, looked out for, shielded, he'd jammed a knife in my back without blinking. This dark, suffocating weight settled in my chest, but I wasn't about to let it break me, not for them, not for this crap. So I did what I do best, I took the reins. I grabbed my laptop, plopped down, and fired off an email to my lawyer. I wanted that divorce locked in ASAP, no haggling, no do-overs. She'd walk away with nothing, 'cause that's all she'd earned. The fallout begins. I figured I'd get some calm after that storm. Thought kicking them to the curb would wrap it up nice and neat. Nope, I was dead wrong. Next morning, my phone started buzzing like crazy. It was Mom and Dad. I waffled for a sec before picking up, but I did, and man, I regretted it the second I heard her voice. Jack, Mom came in hot, already steaming, how could you pull this? I slouched back in my chair, rubbing my forehead. Pull what, exactly? You tossed your own brother out like trash, she snapped. Left him high and dry, knowing he's been sick and scrambling. I let out a long, slow breath. Figures. Ethan bolted straight to them, huh? I jumped in before she could keep going. He mentioned why I did it. Dead air. I nodded to myself. Yeah, thought so, he skipped that bit. So I spilled it all, every grimy detail, the affair, the pregnancy, how they tried to muscle me out of my own house. When I wrapped up, Mom was too stunned to talk. Didn't last, though. I get that what they did was messed up, she said, but, that's when I felt something snap inside. But what? She stumbled. I kept going, my voice dipping into dangerous territory. But I should suck it up. But I should let it slide. But I should roll out the welcome mat again. She went quiet. Then she sighed. She's pregnant, Jack. You can't just. She's pregnant with Ethan's kid, I shot back, setting her straight. I heard Dad shuffle in the background, then he chimed in for the first time. I see why you're fired up, son, he said, all calm-like, but she's family. Ethan's family. We can't just ditch them. I clenched my jaw hard. They ditched me first. More silence. Then Mom, softer this time, piped up. Jack, please, you gotta find a way to let this go. I laughed, straight up laughed, 'cause this chat was done. Nah, I said, short and sweet. I don't. Then I hung up. And for the first time since this whole nightmare kicked off, I felt unshackled. Cutting off Mom and Dad should have felt like a win, like I was planting my flag, snipping the last string tying me to folks who picked them over me. But nah, I didn't feel a thing. No high, no rage, just a big ol' nothing. I sat there, phone still in my grip, staring at their name blinking on the screen for a few more seconds till the call dropped. Then, right as I set the phone down, it buzzed again. Ethan. I let out a slow, steady breath. Should have blown it off. Should have chucked the damn thing across the room and called it a day. But nope, I picked up. The second I did, his voice oozed through, thick with fake worry. Mom just hit me up. You seriously hung up on her? I rubbed my temple, already wiped out. Ethan, what's your deal? He let out this phony, annoyed huff, like this was all just a hassle for him. Jack, man, I know you're steamed, but you're turning this into a bigger mess than it's gotta be. I blinked. A bigger mess. I let out a dark chuckle. Hold up, let's run this back, I said, my voice calm but with an edge. You slept with my wife, knocked her up, schemed to take my house, and I'm the one making it worse. Ethan let out a huff, like I was the one being a total jerk here. I already said it, dude, it was a screw-up. I clamped my jaw tight, squeezing my phone so hard my knuckles turned pale. I opened my door to you, Ethan. I had your back when you were down to nothing, I said, my voice sinking into something chilly and hard. And this is the thanks I get? For once, he didn't have a snappy comeback. I could hear his breathing through the line, probably racking his brain for some slick way to twist this again. But I was done biting, not this time. I sliced through the quiet. Keep your distance from me. Ethan snorted. What, like forever? Yeah, I shot back, no waffling. He went silent again, like that hit him out of nowhere. Jack, I hung up fast. He wasn't getting another scrap of my attention. The parents pick a side, and it ain't mine. Things stayed calm for a bit after that. I blocked Ethan, blocked Emily, blocked every clown who tried to stick up for them. I threw myself into work, piecing back together the life they'd blown apart. But naturally, it didn't stay quiet. 3 days later, Mom and Dad rolled up to my place unannounced. No call, no text, just banging on the door like they were hawking vacuum cleaners. I should have let it ride, acted like I wasn't around. But nope, I swung the door open, arms crossed, face locked down tight. Jack, Mom said, eyeing me up and down like I was some stranger she used to know. I didn't say a peep. She let out a sigh. We gotta hash this out. I propped myself against the frame. I'm good. She frowned. Jack, nope, I shut her down. I don't owe you guys a damn thing, especially not a heart-to-heart. Dad stepped up, his vibe always weightier, steadier than Mom's. Son, we're not here to scrap. We just think you're messing up here. I arched an eyebrow. Messing up? Mom nodded, her look dripping with pity, the kind that made me feel like some pouty kid pitching a fit. I get it, you feel stabbed in the back, she said, and I'm not saying that's wrong, but you can't just ditch family over one dumb move. I blew out a breath, shaking my head. They were still missing the damn point. I didn't ditch anybody, I said. They ditched me. Dad sighed. Jack, Ethan was in a bad spot. His head wasn't on straight, you know how he gets when he's floundering. I stared him down. How he gets? I echoed. You mean how he's always been, a selfish jackass. Always weaseling out of his screw-ups, expecting the rest of us to mop up his spills. They didn't say a word, 'cause they knew I was dead on. Didn't matter, though, they'd already picked their team. You've gotta let it go, Mom said at last. He's your brother. Something knotted up inside me. I balled my fists. So that gives him a free pass to trash my life with no fallout. He's paying for it now, Dad mumbled. He's got nothing left, Jack. I scoffed. He didn't have squat before he banged my wife, and that didn't seem to slow him down any. Jack, I shook my head. Hold up, let me throw this out there, I said. If it was flipped, if Ethan was me, and I'd slept with his wife, knocked her up, tried to steal his house, would you be standing here telling him to hug it out? They both clammed up, and that silence was all I needed. I let out a sour laugh. Unreal. Mom's eyes went all soft. We don't want to lose both of you. I shook my head again. Too late for that. Her breath caught. Jack, no. I stepped back. You picked your side. Then I slammed the door right in their faces. Moving forward without them. I stood there a good while, fists tight, heart pounding like a drum in my chest. Then, slow as hell, I let out a breath. They were gone, along with any flicker of hope I had that they'd stand by me. I'd lost a wife, a brother, and now my folks too. But for the first time in weeks, I felt light, like I'd finally shaken loose. No more groveling for them to get it, no more explaining why I deserved some damn respect, no more battling for a family that wouldn't lift a finger for me. I'd carved out the poison. Now it was time to build back up, just for me, nobody else. The house was dead quiet, too damn quiet. It didn't hit me full on till Mom and Dad peeled out, till I locked the door and slumped against it, staring into the empty living room. I'd lost everybody. Emily was history. Ethan was gone. And now my parents had bailed too. I stood there, gripping the table's edge like it was the only thing keeping me from collapsing. I'd been holding it together through the backstabbing, the embarrassment, the sheer balls of Ethan and Emily trying to shove me out of my own damn life. I'd kept my head on straight, stayed in charge, 'cause if I didn't, I'd have cracked wide open. But now there was nobody left to slug it out with, nobody to yell at, nobody to prove myself to. Just me, stuck with the ashes of what I thought my life was. The unraveling. I moved like a zombie, my feet dragging me to the bedroom, the spot that used to be mine and Emily's. I stepped in and wished I hadn't. The bed was a mess, half done like she'd planned to crash here before it all went to hell. Her perfume still hung in the air, faint but impossible to miss. My chest squeezed tight. This was our place. I'd built this whole life for us, thought we were in it together, thick and thin, that she was all in for me. I shuffled to the nightstand, popped the drawer open. Her earrings were still sitting there, her brush, a pile of old notes I'd scribbled to her back when we were just starting out. Pieces of a life that was all smoke and mirrors. I grit my teeth, snatched up the letters, and tore them clean in half before I could think twice. The rip of paper cut through the room, loud and ugly. I should have stopped, just chucked them in the trash. But I didn't, I kept tearing, shredding every damn one till the scraps were strewn across the bed like a sick joke about what I'd lost. Or maybe what I never even had. I sucked in a wobbly breath, dragging a hand down my face. I couldn't keep this up. I had to get out of that room. The drinking begins. I wandered to the kitchen, yanked a bottle of whiskey off the shelf. I'm not big on boozing, but tonight I needed something to sand down the jagged ache in my chest. I poured a glass, then another. Pretty soon, I ditched the glass and hauled the bottle to the couch, staring at the blank TV, my brain looping every second that got me here, Ethan smirking as he told me to bounce, Emily's quiet, I'm so sorry, when she saw I wasn't the chump she pegged me for, my folks on my doorstep preaching forgiveness for the people who'd torched my life. I let out a bitter chuckle, gulping down another swig. This was nuts, all of it. I'd spent my whole damn life buying into family, thinking you stick it out no matter what, that loyalty's the real deal. But when push came to shove, I was the only one still standing, solo. The spiral. No clue how long I parked there, maybe an hour, maybe 5. Eventually, the whiskey kicked in, dulling everything, weighing my arms down. But it didn't wipe my memory. I couldn't shake how Emily used to look at me, how she'd giggle at my lame jokes, how I'd roll out of bed feeling like the luckiest guy alive. I couldn't ditch the nights Ethan and I spent as kids, huddled up in the dark, swearing we'd always have each other's backs. I couldn't let go of any of it. And that's what sucked most, they'd already moved on. Ethan and Emily were probably shacked up somewhere, pointing fingers at me for their flop. My parents made it crystal clear I was the bad guy for not letting it slide. And me, I was here, plastered, alone, trying to glue together a life that had been one big fat lie. I slumped back on the couch, eyes shutting tight. For the first time in ages, I wanted to wipe it all out, the last 8 years, every trace of her, the dumb idea I'd ever trusted Ethan. But that's not how it works. I was stuck with it, their choices, the fact that no matter how much I poured down my throat, no matter how hard I tried to drown it, the truth wasn't budging, they screwed me over, and I'd let them in. I'd let them wreck me. I breathed out slow, plunking the bottle on the coffee table. I had 2 roads, keep sitting here, chugging away, letting them keep the upper hand, or pull my ass together and start fresh. And for the first time since this crap storm hit, I knew my move. I wasn't letting this bust me, not for Ethan, not for Emily, not for anybody. 'Cause when the dust settled, they were gone, but I was still kicking. That had to mean something. The next morning, I woke up with a hangover pounding like the sting of their backstabbing. The whiskey bottle sat half-drained on the coffee table, my mouth was parched, and my head throbbed from last night's downward spin. But the real kicker. That ache in my chest hadn't budged. The booze didn't wash it away, nothing could touch it. I dragged myself upright, slow as hell, rubbing my temples. My whole body felt like a lead weight, like I'd been hauling around the wreckage of a life that had crashed and burned, 'cause that's pretty much what happened. My marriage? Toast. My brother? As good as dead to me. My folks? Spinning their own story instead of facing facts. Everything was gone except this house, which now felt way too huge, way too hollow. But I was sick of moping. Last night, I'd settled it, they weren't gonna come out on top. I'd pull my shit together, wrap up the divorce, move forward, and make damn sure Ethan and Emily never got a crack at worming back into my world. That was the game plan, until my phone buzzed with a name I knew too well. I grabbed it, figuring maybe it was work or a buddy finally checking in. But when I saw Emily light up the screen, I let out a groan, shaking my head. Of course it was her. I should have blocked her ass, cut off every damn path for her to slink back in. Curiosity's a bitch, though, and even though I knew better, I picked up. Her voice came through, all soft and wobbly. Jack. I shut my eyes tight. Just her saying my name made my skin crawl like nails on a chalkboard. What do you want, Emily? A beat passed, then a shaky breath, like she was playing up the fragile act. I lost the baby. My gut twisted, but not how she hoped. For the first time since this mess kicked off, I didn't feel a damn thing, no pity, no sorrow, no guilt. Zilch. I'd burned too many nights mourning the life I thought was mine, too many hours kicking myself for being a sucker while it all fell apart. But this? This wasn't my load to haul. Something in her voice sounded fishy anyway. I let out a slow breath. What am I supposed to say to that? Emily let out a little, cracked sob. I don't know, she gulped, then pushed on. I had to let you know. I scrunched my brow. Why? You made it damn clear I'm not in your plans anymore. Another pause, then she dropped it, Ethan's pinning it on you. I barked out a short, sour laugh. Yeah, sounds about right. He's saying the stress you put me under, it's why, her voice broke. Why I miscarried. I locked my jaw tight. There it was. Not even 2 days back, her and Ethan were scheming to shove me out of my own house, snatch my life, play cozy family on my dime. Now, with their little dream gone sideways, they needed a fall guy. Guess who? Me, naturally. The blame game. I got up, pacing the room, phone jammed against my ear. Let's break this down, I said. You cheat on me, stab me in the back with my own brother, try to boot me from my own place, and now, 'cause your fairy tale flopped, I'm the villain. Emily hiccuped through a sob. It's not like that, Jack. Oh, it's not. She didn't say a word, 'cause she knew damn well it was. I shook my head. I don't give a rat's ass what Ethan thinks, or you for that matter. I quit caring the second you picked your side. Another stretch of quiet, then she whispered in this tiny, weaselly voice, can we meet up? I laughed, full-on laughed. You're joking, right? No, she rushed out, desperation oozing now. I need some closure. Please, Jack. I blew out a breath, rubbing my forehead. Closure, huh? She took my pause as a maybe. One talk, that's it. I promise. I wavered for a split second, not 'cause I wanted to see her, not 'cause I gave a damn about her sob story, but 'cause I wanted to catch her bullshit in person one last time. Fine, I said. One chat. Don't expect me to cry for you. The final truth. I met her at this little coffee joint downtown, same spot we used to hit up on lazy Sunday mornings. Kinda fitting, in a twisted way. When I walked in, she was already there, looking off. Not radiant, not smug, just shrunk, like she'd figured out too late she'd bet on a losing horse. She flashed a weak smile. Jack. I dropped into the seat. Go ahead, say your piece. Emily sighed, fiddling with her coffee spoon even though she hadn't sipped a drop. I know I tore you up, she started, and I don't deserve a thing from you, but I didn't see this coming. None of it. I kept my mouth shut, letting her shovel her own hole. She swallowed hard. Ethan, he ain't the guy I thought he was. I raised an eyebrow. That so? She nodded, staring at the table. He fed me lies, about where he was headed, his cash, what he really wanted. I tilted my head. And you're just now clocking that? She flinched. Good. She sighed again. I messed up, okay. I leaned in, my voice low and steady as a blade. Nah, Emily, you chose this. You knew damn well what you were up to when you hopped in bed with my brother, when you lied to my face, when you tried to rip off the life I busted my ass for. Her breath caught. I shook my head. Your only slip was thinking you'd skate by. Tears pooled in her eyes. Jack, please, I threw up a hand. Don't even. She clammed up. For the first time since this whole shitshow started, all I felt was disgust. I stood, tossing a couple bucks on the table. This the closure you were after? I asked. She blinked up at me. Great. I turned for the door. 'Cause this is the last you'll see of me. I walked out, and for the first time in weeks, I didn't glance back. Aftermath. Couple days later, my phone rang again, not Emily, not Ethan, but a buddy we both knew. Jack, he said, sounding half amused, half stunned, you hear what Ethan's been blabbing about? I frowned. Spill it, what did he say? A beat, then the bomb, Emily was never pregnant. Emily was never pregnant. The words bounced around my skull like a pinball as I sat in my car, gripping the wheel so hard my knuckles bleached out. I'd spent weeks swallowing the idea she was carrying Ethan's kid, picturing them plotting their little future built on screwing me over. I'd kicked them out, ditched my folks, took all their blame and whining and finger-pointing. And now I find out the whole damn reason they tried to muscle me out of my house was a flat-out lie. I let out a hard breath, smacking my forehead against the wheel. I should have been pissed as hell. Should have wanted to track them down and watch their world implode like they'd tried to do mine. But nah, I laughed. 'Cause this was some next-level karma. The truth spreads like fire. I rang my buddy back, still chuckling. Lay it all out for me, I said, barely hiding the grin in my voice. He didn't skimp. Turns out Ethan had been hounding Emily for proof, doctor visits, ultrasound pics, anything real. She'd dodged him for weeks, tossing out lame excuses left and right. Then, when she couldn't duck it anymore, she just claimed she'd miscarried, no records, no hospital trips, just a handy sob story to shut him up. Problem was, Ethan wasn't swallowing it this time. So he lost it, started running his mouth to anybody who'd listen, saying she'd played him, faked the whole damn pregnancy. She'd conned him, same as she tried with me. And boom, their cute little fling fell apart like a house of cards. A family torn apart. Word didn't take long to hit mom and dad. And just like that, their whole tune changed. The baby, the one they'd guilt me over, begged me to forgive her for, blamed me for wrecking, never even existed. So, of course, they did what they always do, called me up. Mom's name popped up on my screen, and for a hot second, I thought about picking up. I could already hear her, pleading, groveling, scrambling to patch up what they'd trashed. I let it ring out. Then I blocked her. Blocked Dad too. And just like that, the last thread to that family snapped clean off. Ethan's meltdown. I didn't think Ethan dare call again, not after all this. But 3 nights later, my phone lit up with some random number. Should have ignored it, but I didn't. Picked up, and instantly wished I hadn't. Jack, Ethan's voice slurred through, bitter and sloppy. He was trashed. I sighed, already done with this. What now, Ethan? He laughed, but it was empty, cracked. She screwed me over, he mumbled. Lied right to my face. I raised an eyebrow, leaning back. What, you thought you were untouchable? Nothing. Then, real quiet, I threw it all away for her. There it was, the light bulb moment. He'd sold me out for nothing. Tossed our brotherhood for a chick who'd played him like a fiddle. Ditched our family, his rep, everything, for a ghost. Kinda poetic, really. Now you get it, I said, ice in my tone. He let out a slow breath. I was an idiot. Yep, I agreed, sure were. Quiet hung between us. Then, in a voice so faint I barely caught it, he asked, any chance we can patch this up? I froze for a sec. Thought it over. But then it all flooded back, the lies, the betrayal, him sitting in my house telling me to get lost, and I knew that bridge was ash. Nope, I said, plain and simple. Ethan sniffed, then let out a rough laugh. Yeah, figured as much. I hung up. Never took his calls again. Emily's last desperate shot. I should have seen it coming, she'd circle back eventually. Ethan was out of the picture, my folks had washed their hands of her, and she'd torched every damn bridge she had. I was the last lifeline she could grab. So one night, trudging up to my place after a long day at work, there she was, parked on my doorstep, hair wet from the drizzle, mascara streaking down her face. She looked like a wreck, frail and frantic, like it had finally hit her she was out of moves. She started to say something, but I threw up a hand. Nope. She gulped hard. Jack, no, I said again, brushing past her to unlock the door. You don't get a word in. Her eyes flickered fast, like she'd prepped some big plea and I'd just smashed it to bits. I screwed up, she murmured, barely audible. I let out a quick, dry laugh, swinging the door wide. Nah, Emily, you picked your path. Now deal with it. I stepped inside and turned to look at her one last time. She was shaking, a total mess, a shadow of the woman I used to know. But I didn't feel a damn thing, 'cause the Emily I'd loved was a mirage all along. With that, I slammed the door right in her face. Moving on for real. In the weeks after, I finally locked down the divorce. Emily walked away with Zip. Ethan vanished into thin air. My parents didn't bother calling again. And me? I kept going. I hit the reset button, without any of them dragging me down. For the first time in ages, I was truly free. Another story wraps up on Top Stories Hub. Make sure to subscribe, give it a thumbs up, and drop your reactions in the comments.